time, because the time will come. And if the enemy can do anything, that is stop me from creating, that stop you from creating in this spot right now. So when that time comes, you haven't created the thing that you saw in the time. Hello, and welcome to another video. So I am here with a bit of a dilemma, and I just want to talk to you guys. Maybe someone else is having these thoughts. Maybe you're feeling this way. I've been trying to have like another little conversation with you guys for a while, and I can't quite articulate the words, and I hope that I'm able to do that this morning. I'm at a crossroads because I realize that what I'm trying to do could very well cost me my comfort. Oh, I just said that out loud. I realize that the move that I'm trying to make could very well cost me like my day-to-day life as I know it to be, and that's comfortable for me. And I will say this, that so Kennedy and I, as you guys know, have been on this little quest. She was in daycare for a while. She was in daycare while I owned my own daycare previously, and then I pulled her out of daycare. Then I went kind of back to work very shortly, very briefly. And then we've been dancing with daycares, and then we tried to do a little dance with the school. And when I said dance, it was really just, she didn't really do well in the environment. Not because she is bad, quote unquote, just because she just didn't do well in the environment. Like so many children around the world. Some people actually do well in the environment. Like I can say that when I was her age, I was not a bad kid necessarily. I didn't start getting in trouble like that until I was like a teenager, which is pretty normal, but I did well in the environment. If someone told me to do something, I did it. You know what I mean? Even at home. And sometimes people really don't do well in the environment. Like I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's because of a multiple reasons. So you guys know I kind of fought with pulling her out of school. And then every time I pull her out of school, I also realized that it forced me to become a different kind of mother. Go with me, okay? We're gonna go somewhere, hopefully. It forced me to become a different kind of mother. It forced me to become a different kind of wife. It forced me to become a different kind of person, because now I have this other person who needs more, like, you know, when I wake up in the morning, when everybody was going to school, my husband's going to work, I wake up in the morning, baby, if I want to wake up at 10 o'clock, I can wake up at 10 o'clock. I feel a different, even though I could still do that same thing, there's a different sense of accountability because she's at home. So I was kind of fighting back and forth with this new sense of accountability to make sure that this person's life, you know, turns out better. I felt the weight of that. And that is really what motherhood is, okay? Don't let nobody fool you. So, you know, we kind of went on this quest, and, you know, when I wake up in the morning, we go on our walks, and this morning she was like, Mommy, we're gonna go on our walk, and then we're gonna go to Bounce Bears, and I'm like, absolutely. And as I'm walking, I realized, like, this is such a beautiful exchange. This is me walking, showing her that exercise is important, showing her that movement is important, showing her that getting outside and really taking care of yourself is important. She just sits in a stroller. We have our whole little routine. She has her iPad, and she brings some toys sometimes, and she sits in a stroller while I have my time, which is walking, okay? Is it like, you know, is it anything extravagant? No, it is a thing that I can do with her being there. At one point in time, I attended an all-women's gym, and they had a child care center. That gym has since closed. And I think I know why it closed, because we're going through this really tough time of men and wannabe women, men, you know what I mean. And that was an all women's gym, and it created a lot of, you know, controversy. So I think that's the reason they closed it down, if I'm 100% honest with you. But I used to go to that gym. It was comfortable for me, and I used to drop her off in the daycare, and then I would go work out. I had to reorient my entire like day setup when I pulled her from school, and then even to get back to a place of like, you just can't sit in the house. You need to get out. You need to move, and you need to figure out a way to incorporate her in that. So now we're in this groove of she's well incorporated into my life, and I'm enjoying it. I realize that this time that I'm spending with her, who knows how the end of my life will turn out. And it's almost as though it's an investment. Me investing in my daughter, me investing in my son, you investing in whoever. You have to begin to look at your investments in people as just that. Like your investments with your time in people as just that, an investment. Somehow, some way, this is going to be reciprocated. And if it's not reciprocated, like let's say the person is older and you're in a relationship that's not, there's no reciprocity, kind of like me and my husband, well, we need to take a closer look at that relationship. Mothers, sisters, brothers, all that kind of stuff. You need to take a closer look at the relationship. But if it's a relationship that's not yet mature, like the relationship between me and my daughter, the relationship between my son and I, it's not a mature relationship in that they haven't reached a point in their life where they can actually give something back to the relationship. It seems like you're doing a lot of work, and it's a lot of work. But what we're failing to realize is that all of the work that we're doing on this end is going to pay off on the other end. And like I said, when I started this conversation, I'm at a crossroads because now I'm in the swing with Kennedy, and I just feel this extreme pull to teach you how to create a swing, and you is the mother, and then also create a swing for other children whose mothers simply refuse to do this. And I'm like, Tinsney, but you're only one person. I mean, I can only, right now I'm in an apartment. You guys know I had licensing come through last week, and the amount of kids that they're telling me that I can't have, and then the amount of kids that I want to have isn't lining up. And I'm kind of like, God, I was looking for vans, like just trying to make things like all come together. And I'm like, God, well, what are you going to do? Because you know what I have. You know what my heart is to give. If I could have 20 children and give to 20 children, I would do that. But realistically, I can't do that. But what I can do is hopefully teach someone else how to do this, so that I'm not really working alone. I'm doing my job, but I also, I'm also teaching another woman to do their job, because sometimes we just don't understand that this side of life exists. And then I took my daughter to Bouncing Bears, and this is going to be, I'm sorry if you don't like racial, conversations about race and things like that. You might not like this conversation, but I have to say it. So I took my daughter to Bouncing Bears, and I live in a pretty, they call it the other side of the tracks. So on this side over here, it's more of a predominantly, it used to be mixed, like black and white, and now it's predominantly Hispanic, but there are still a great deal of black people on this side. Once you come over to this side, it is predominantly not people of color. I'm gonna say that. And that does, though I love the area that I live in, I'm not planning to move. It does, it creates a little bit of friction. And today I brought my daughter to Bouncing Bears, like I said, and I looked around, and I realized, and this is not the first time, that I was the only black person in here. And forget about me, she was the only black child. And forget about her, where are all of the other people of color and their children? You know what they're doing? They're over here working hard. They're working hard. They've signed up for jobs, like they have jobs that they have to work, and I do understand that. And most of the children, like if you go into some of the predominantly black neighborhoods, you'll see kids outside kind of left to their own devices. You don't necessarily see that when you get like if I look outside my house right now, my apartment right now, there's nobody out there. If I go in the neighborhoods that's across from me, the kids aren't outside. Like they're outside playing in their backyard because their parents are watching them. They're not kind of like roaming the streets. And then I asked myself the question, and when I say I asked myself the question, it's really me questioning God as to be like, well, why is that? And I'm like, yeah, we have dropped for some reason, and I don't know the reason, we have, and we're still doing this, we have taken apart the family structure so much that we don't respect men, that men don't respect women, and the family doesn't exist. So when the family no longer exists, when dad's no longer in the home, or stepdad, whoever, when we're no longer trying to create this family structure, we actually leave the children displaced. Displaced children turn into displaced adults. It's not rocket science. And I guess it's like, when I saw that, I realized that people of color it's hit us the hardest because we have stopped believing, you know, after all the things that we've been through. We've stopped believing that, we stopped believing in unity. We stopped believing in coming together. We stopped believing that it could ever get better for us. And that's the sad part, because it can. It can. I'm like, man, where is the black women and their children sitting out here? It's not that I just want my daughter to play with people who look like her. That's not the only thing. Even though that is a thing, that's not the only thing. My true concern when I saw that is, where are the little black kids? Why don't they get these same luxuries? Well, they don't get these same luxuries because their parents haven't made the same sacrifices. And I know some people don't like that, but it's true. To have a marriage, to have a family, is a sacrifice. I just explained to you, I had to reorient my entire life to pull my daughter out of school. But you don't think I could have left her there? I could have left her at school. I could have left her there not doing well and all and just been like, oh, where's free daycare? I could have done that because of my refusal to change my life, the things that I actually can change. And you have to begin to realize at some point you can't change it. Life is going to go on, and at some point the thing that you failed to do for your children is just going to be a fail. You're not going to be able to turn back and change it. What they believe about families is just going to be what they believe about families. And I know this message isn't going to be for everyone. If you're a single woman and you don't have children, but perhaps you have nieces and nephews and you can help, because people have to be willing, especially when we talk about mothers and you trying to infiltrate someone else's family, people have to be willing to allow you to help. But if you truly have a woman, a dad, someone in your life who's struggling to be that parent for their child and they're willing to let you in, go in, help out. I mean, when I saw that today, I'm like, I have all this pricing structure. I'm trying to, my prices are going to be higher. I'm not going to watch children for $50 like I was doing when I first started doing daycare. And then I see that and it just gets me going in the direction again of like, but what if the person who needs it can only afford X, Y, and Z? So when I said I was in a dilemma, the dilemma is that. The dilemma is to override. Remember that conversation that I told you guys? Override what I'm feeling that my comfort would be disrupted to really get to that sweet spot of like, God, how can you move in this person's life? And that is when I'm dead and gone. I want it to be known in the hearts of these people that I don't even know yet, and the people who I do know, my children, my family, my husband, I want it to be known in their hearts and in their life. I want to be seen in their life that someone at some point in time really cared enough about what I was going through to sacrifice their comfort. And I believe God is going to supply that. And I pray that if you're watching this message, because I don't even know what this message is going to be titled. You're watching this message because you feel it. God will supply. He will supply. He's going to lead you in the right direction. He's not going to leave you hanging on this thing. And if you're in between, if you're a person right now, you're like, I want to get married. I've done a lot of videos talking about marriage and things like that. And it's for this very reason. I think I took a substitute teacher position like a while ago, and I learned a lot about children and what they go through at certain ages. Even though I was a child once and I was the age that those children were once, you don't remember it until you're back there, until you're taken back into it. You kind of remember. It helps you to, you can relate. And I just saw a lot of like brokenness. And like I said, the school that I was subbing at was on the other side of the track. So there were primarily, like I said, black and brown kids. And and the school that's a little further up, which is not considered on the other side of the tracks, the school that Kennedy was actually at, I did a subbing position there before I sent her there. And I thought, this is a good school. This is a good little school. And then I realized once she got in there and just going through life that it was a good school, but they're only good to some people. So I just got off the phone with my husband, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to close this video out because I was about to take a turn that I don't think I needed to take. My husband I don't think I told you guys, don't know this as of right now. It's actually at a conference that his job sent him on, which is very exciting. And while he's at this conference, I am going through all of these seeming to be like disappointments within the like opening the daycare, even though you guys know I've said like I know exactly what God said. And I don't know if you guys know, but this daycare actually came to be because of a dream that I had. And I know at this point how to separate the dreams that God gives me. This one was different. And so I've been pressing toward this thing, and I finally come to a place where I'm like, you know what? I'll shut all that other stuff down and I'll do exactly what you told me to do. So for it to not work out like I think it's going to work out, I'm tired. Have you ever been tired? I'm tired. And I was talking to my husband, and like I said, yesterday I had a really bad headache. After I guess went through my day with all that on my mind, my head started to hurt really bad. And it's because it's weighty. I understand how important it is to God. I understand. And because it's important to God, like I said, it's important to me. And it's weighty. But not a bad weighty. A weighty in the way that I understand that this will change me in the process of trying to make a change. And I was talking to my husband, like I said, he's at a conference right now. And I was saying, 7 years ago, you wouldn't have thought that this would be, like, you wouldn't have thought that you would have gotten an opportunity like this. But I remember when I walked into that kitchen, once I started working in that kitchen, I'm talking about the kitchen where we met. He wasn't my husband at the time, but God gave me the ability to see, like, he's more than meets the eye. And I was like, I wondered for a while, like, why God gave me that word about you. It's not like he told me everything that would happen. It took time, of course, me being married to him, for it to even be my business with what happened. But I remember God leading me to pray for him. And I remember, like I said, me just seeing like he's not what meets the eye. Not being okay with the summary of what other people told me about him. Like, I'm like, it's more to that. God was showing me that there was more to him that meets the eye. And I'm like, to be able to hold on to, no, there's more to you than that. Through all of it, through us not even being married, through the beginning of our marriage, through the hardships that marriage has taken us through, family hardship, through all of that, really being able to hold on to what God said about him. And then coming to this place now where I actually see what God said happening. And I'm like, well, why? God's like, you were able to hold that, and not just hold it. When God gives you a word about something, he gives you a vision about something, and you hold it. When I say hold it, I don't mean like clench fist. I mean hold it as in I'm like holding it, like I'm beholding it. Before it even gets to me, I can see the beauty in it. I'm working it like it's already like God said it would be. And I've realized that level of belief and that level of faith only comes from God. And I said, Tanzania, you need to begin to do that about this business, because my only prayer is that, God, I don't know what this moment that I'm standing in means, but you do. It might not be significant to me, but it's significant to you. And I want to move through today like today is a significant piece in who I'm going to be tomorrow for this very cause. So, without crying on here, because I just finished crying after I was talking to my husband, that's what I'm going to leave you with. Like, you don't know the full picture, but that's okay. You can behold it. If you can behold it, if you can just like what God told you about it, you just keep it. And don't really put it in your hand like this. I'm just using this as an example. You just, whenever you feel like it's not going to happen, you just take it out and you just look at it. You're just like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And you begin to live as if it is. Because I'll tell you this, another thing that God showed me in that dream that he gave me about that, which yesterday when my head was hurting, he reminded me, I'm in now, and now is time. And it's really hard for you to comprehend anything outside of like a normal day, like normal time. But when God showed me that dream, we were actually on the outside of time. It was almost like we were looking on to time. And you have to know that the time is still going to come. So you can't control the time, but what you can do is control the creativity that you have in this moment, because since the time is still going to come, it's still going to move. So everything that I'm creating is going to move into a place where it collides with time. Because when God showed me that dream, when he gave me that vision, it was actually him living on the outside of time. You understand what I'm saying? It's hard to comprehend. It's God is in the place. He was in that dream. We were in the place then that will become a now. Does that make sense? Like, it's not here, but God doesn't live in here or there, so he can travel in between any of them. And I'm not there. I'm here. But there, it's there. Like, there already exists. I'm just not there yet. This time hasn't made its way to that time yet. And the one thing I need to control is what I'm creating in this time, because the time will come. And if the enemy can do anything, that is stop me from creating, that stop you from creating in this spot right now. So when that time comes, you haven't created the thing that you saw in the time. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because it's, and maybe if the Holy Spirit leads me to, I'll do like a little teaching on what God has shown me about time. But I'm just realizing, like, this moment is significant. And if I can just zone in on what God's doing right now, it will make room in the time that will come. Like, I'm not in control of time. Time's going to do its thing, but I am in control of what I create while I'm here. Okay? So as always, if you have a question, ask a question, and I'll see you in the next video.